Hello everyone and welcome to PassionVinesTV. I'm your host Michael Bray and we are a little yet passionate company, quickly becoming one of the most competitive and respected wine experiences in the world by connecting our passion with yours. And today we're actually on site at our Egg Harbor Township location. It's a gorgeous day and the weekend is upon us, so we're excited. But before I start, I want to just briefly comment on a quick conversation I had on the way to work today with my grandmother. And Nanny Stone, this episode is for you. Unfortunately, she's not feeling great. She's 92 years old, lived a long, successful, beautiful life with beautiful kids and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Unbelievable story and journey. But it's just sad to see family members not feeling so good. So Stephen Covey, who I'm a big fan of, big time author and inspirational speaker, motivator, often says when you're raising your own kids, it's almost as if you're raising your grandkids. And I don't know exactly what that means, but I do know you feel a little bit. You feel it, right? Doesn't that you feel something when you say that? You're raising your grandkids, and now that I have my own son, it's gosh, it just really feels like your job is really, really important. So, with that being said, if you have a grandmother, call her, tell her you love her. So, we're here for wine, so I don't mean to bring down the discussion. However, I just do want to share that. Last night we had a Taste of Tuscany in which we brought in Chris Lare, who's a good friend, and Chris is responsible for manicuring the golf course. His day job is the superintendent of Great Bay Country Club. Does an incredible job. The course is in incredible shape for all you golfers out there. But last night was about exploring his passion. As we often say, it's more than just wine, and we were able to explore his passion for food. He makes the most incredible food. He actually studied under a woman in Tuscany, and last night was all homemade foods from Tuscany, where we highlighted these three wines. And unfortunately we had to cap it, and we sold out, and there was a lot of you who weren't able to join us. However, I will tell you there will be another opportunity, so please keep checking out our website at passionvines.com under our events tab. So, but just to give you an idea of what we tasted, because I've received a few emails of which said, would you let us know what you tasted, because we'd like to pick up a bottle. So this is what we did. The first wine we tasted was a Rosso di Montalcino. Now, Montalcino is the region, as you know, within Italy. We refer to these regions as zones. And Montalcino is the zone we're talking about here. And to understand Rosso di Montalcino is really to understand Brunello di Montalcino. Brunello is king. For those of you who drink Brunello out there, it's gorgeous wine. The varietal very often referred to as the Brunello grape, or also known as Sangiovese Grosso. And what Rosso means is just that it's not aged as long. Brunellos, they have a minimum of a 2-year aging requirement. The Rosso is only 1 year. And so a lot of times Rossos, number one, aren't going to be as expensive as Brunellos. And really as a business, it just makes sense, because while you'd love to just make top shelf wines, you need something to sort of keep you afloat. So this is for those of you who drink Brunellos but can't afford a $50 bottle every day. I highly recommend a Rosso di Montalcino. Now this producer here is Camigliano, and the Camigliano actually is the town. It's within Siena, the province of Siena, and they produce great wine. Been producing it for a long time. Rossos, because they don't age as long, are often going to be a very fresh, fruity, what I call a zippy wine. It's alive. It's they're not. Well, it depends on what producer you like. As you know, we're a big fan of Valdicava. Valdicava tends to age their Rosso even a little bit longer than most. But again, this Camigliano is just about 6 months in French oak and 6 months in the bottle. I get, immediately I get a little cherry. Also some floral notes. A little bit of spice coming through. You can see the color. Okay. Last night, we had an assortment of food with us in front of us while we're trying these wines. And the lesson of last night, as we often talk about, is food pairing. When, what wines do you pair food with? And what I often say about Italy and understanding the size. Italy is 60% the size of France. It's 75% the size of the state of California. And it produces over 20% of the world's wine. So what does that tell you? It means that Italy drinks some serious freaking wine. And they drink it with food. So to understand that, and I often, when people want an Italian wine, I often ask them what they're having for dinner, because if they're not eating something with it, sometimes it's tough. And so where I'm getting at with this comment is that these wines tend to be very tannic. They tend to have a greater level of acidity. So what I'm feeling right now, without any food, I feel like I'm missing something. However, the wine is gorgeous. It's balanced. I get some of the aromatics on the nose of cherry, a little bit of floral, a little bit of spice, almost a little bit of leather as well. Great balanced wine. Okay. The next wine we tasted. And if I'm moving too fast, I apologize. This is Camigliano 2007 vintage. I'm not sure if I referenced that. The next wine. Now we go up to the Chianti Classico zone. Okay, Chianti. The name Chianti is very familiar, I think, with the world. And Chianti, what it really means is just committed to memory. But Chianti is Sangiovese. Now, there's a lot more to it, because back in the day, and when I say back in the day, maybe I'm going to say maybe in the 70s, I think they still were, including white grape varieties in Chianti. And the grape varieties were Malvasia and Trebbiano. No longer do they require the white grape varieties, and so as a result, it's in Chianti Classico, the rule is that it has to be a minimum of 80% Sangiovese. Now, 80% Sangiovese, it can be 100. However, if it is 80%, then the other grape varieties can be Cabernet, it can be Merlot, but you do have to go through a series of, especially in the DOCG, you have to pass a series of tests. And I'll also comment, this Rosso di Montalcino, this is categorized as a DOC, this is a DOCG. What does that mean? Right, it means that the DOCG is the highest standard, the DOC is right underneath of it. And it just means it's held to a higher standard. For us drinking at home, it really doesn't mean anything. So just drink the wine, and if you like it, keep drinking it. Okay, we're almost out of this wine. Fontodi Chianti Classico. You look up any wine book, any writer, any author, and you talk about the best producers of Chianti Classico, you're going to come across this producer. Incredible wine. In this case, Fontodi Chianti Classico, the 2006 vintage. It was aged for 1 year, aged in French oak, and is 100% Sangiovese. So there's nothing else blended in this variety. So it was an interesting test. Again, you had Sangiovese Grasso, which is the Brunello clone of Sangiovese, in the Camigliano. In the Fontodi, you have straight 100% Sangiovese. Immediately on the nose, the Fontodi, without even looking at the vintage, this is a 2006. Already, it's a much heavier wine on the nose. It's a much richer wine. It's a deeper wine. I get a little of that common cherry that I got in the Camigliano. However, this cherry is, I'm going to say, it's a dark cherry. It's a black cherry. Okay. Fontodi, it's a luscious wine, while the Rosso was a little thin. Now, having tasted this, and I often say the best way to learn about wine is to open 2 bottles of wine, because it teaches you so much. The Rosso di Montalcino was a pretty thin wine, and now I'm actually, when I have this, I'm not loving that. However, again, you appreciate the reason why it's made and how it's made. The Rosso, a little thin. This Fontodi is a massive wine. So again, depending on how you pair it, well, it's important. The Fontodi, it's very luscious. I'm still getting fruit on the back end. Wonderful, wonderful wine, and wonderful expression of Chianti Classico. Quick note on price. This Camigliano Rosso di Montalcino, $18.99, and the Fontodi is $31 bucks. and both great expressions of what they are.